started with the speaking contest, I just want to go over some norms, okay, before the contest starts. Please no cell phones with their ringer on. I know you have your cell phones. Just make sure they're turned off because the speakers need silence. Okay, and please no microphones either. Okay. As we start, I'd like to introduce the judges. Okay, so we have 3 judges for today. Our first judge is Dr. Sarah Missett. Dr. Missett is the Director of Elementary and K-12 Discipline. Dr. Missett has been with the Westchester Area School District for over 27 years as an elementary teacher, elementary principal, and a director. Dr. Missett is pleased to be a judge at this morning's competition. Our next judge is Mrs. Cara Bailey. Mrs. Bailey is the supervisor of English Language Arts for grades 6 through 12 and the supervisor of the cyber program. Mrs. Bailey previously taught English for 14 years, including spending her last few years as an 8th grade English teacher at Pierce Middle School. She has a passion for public speaking and is looking forward to judging today's competition. Welcome. Our final judge is Ms. Kleiman. Ms. Kleiman is our Director of Pupil Services. She's been a member of the Westchester Area School District team for the last 10 years. She, in fact, was the Rustin High School Supervision of Special Education from 2017 to 2022. Welcome. I'd like to start the competition by welcoming our speakers. So I'll announce them one at a time. Our first speaker is Kaden Carlson. Our second speaker is Don Corbin. Our third speaker is Sierra Dunn. Our fourth speaker is Marley Matter. Our next speaker is Shelby Hoyle. Our next speaker is Miriam Knudston. And our last speaker for today is Rachel Stepp. I would like to thank all of our students that have volunteered to participate in the speaking contest this year. They have worked diligently over the past couple of weeks to perfect their speeches. So we will get started. Our first speaker will be Kaden Carlson. Over the course of the student's career, they are often asked to write a letter to themselves, while usually censored, offers advice to their younger selves. But what if we could offer advice specifically during the worst times of our lives? Kaden Carlson voices a poet's named Tab's perspective on this idea of letter to my past self.
Dear my past self, there's a lot of things I wish I could tell you. A lot of things I wish I could change, a lot of things that I wish we hadn't done, but that is not why I'm sending this letter. We both know that the past cannot be changed. The same way we both know that girls will be girls and boys will be boys. I know you're going through a lot of changes right now, gnawing your lips, making them bleed, and gazing at all these forked roads. You want to know which road to take, the right one, the wrong one, or that third option. The one that everyone says is just the worst choice ever, but it just feels right. It's natural to be afraid of the unknown, even if you don't think it. But don't let that fear bind you. Around this time in your life, you're going to notice that a lot of your friends are fleeting. A deceptive man called depression will lull you in with the promises of kindred spirits and ask to be your companion. You will shake his hand, but will regret that decision later on. People will also start calling you a freak, a weirdo. They will paint names on your back and make a game out of how many times you can stab them in one day, but do not try revenge. I have, and it never ends up the way you want it to. Society will tell you to cut and change all the things that are different about you. The things that make you weird, the things that make you see a shade differently, the things that you were and still are proud of. You will ask why, and their response will be because you are not perfect. Don't listen to them. Because in a few months from now, you're going to learn that they were just the stereotype that you always mocked in movies. Somewhere between where you are now and where I am now, you are also going to lose the ability to smile uncaringly. You will watch the colors of the world fade, leaving them nothing but a mottled gray, the same state that you are feeling now. You will paint lies and make new colors just to pretend that there is something worth living for, and you will hate yourself for it, but you cannot hate yourself because you are a survivor and you are still fighting. You will hold your emotions tight and hide away from the world. But when you come out of the personal hell that world gave you, your soul seared and scarred and a tuft of wings on your back, you will learn to walk again on new legs, not smooth, but full of calluses from all the roads walked. You will also learn that you were an idiot, that karma exists, and it bites you in the back for all of those past tyrannies. You will also learn that not being beautiful is fine, and being flawed is okay. And sadly, you're also going to learn that you're allergic to cats. But you're going to meet some wonderful people. People who you care for, and they're going to care for you right back. The ones who are weird, like you. God, you're going to love how Olivia is now. And this other guy we get to meet later down the road. You're also going to get to fall in love, like in those comic books that you secretly adore, and you're going to break your own heart. You'll be okay with it, and you'll learn from those skills to cut people out from your life. But you're also going to learn that the world isn't kind to your gender identity, and you will ask for equality. You will ask why, and they will simply say, because you are not perfect, because you do not deserve it. You know that the world's always going to suck, but you also know that there is always going to be change. You're going to learn that patience isn't your virtue, but you will grit your tongue and wait. You will learn that sometimes the world is not going to like you. But you're going to make your own story anyways. And you're going to learn from others too. You're going to pull unexpected plot twists and your favorite cliche, and you're going to learn that not everybody is going to like your story, and that's okay! That is so very okay. This letter was never telling you to change yourself. It was my way of saying thank you, because dude, you've done really, really good.
Our second contestant, Dominic Corwin. Achieving childhood dreams may sound silly to some, but keeping some of those goals can open someone to new ones. Incredible experiences. Upon learning of his terminal cancer diagnosis in 2007, college professor Randy Pausch gave his final speech at Carnegie Mellon University, appropriately called the last lecture. Rather than dwell on his cancer, Randy chose to look on the bright side of things and encourage his audience to always live to the fullest, even in the face of tragedy. Now presenting a portion of his lecture to you, Senior Dom.
Make me earn it. It's wonderful to be here. What she didn't tell you is the fact that this lecture series used to be called The Last Lecture. If you had one last lecture to give before you died, what would it be? I thought to myself, damn it, I finally nailed the venue and they renamed it. All right, so for anybody who just wandered in and doesn't know the backstory, my dad always taught me that if there's an elephant in the room, introduce them. As you can see by my CAT scans, there are approximately 10 tumors in my liver, and my doctors told me 3 to 6 months of good health left. That was a month ago, so you can do the math. I have some of the best doctors in the world, so that is what it is. We cannot change the cards we are dealt, just how we play the hand. If I don't seem as depressed or as morose as I should be, I'm sorry to disappoint you. But it's not like I'm unaware of what's going on. The thing is, I'm in phenomenally good health right now. I mean, it's the greatest thing of cognitive dissonance you will ever see is the fact that I am in really good shape. In fact, I am in better shape than most of you. So, anyone who wants to cry or pity me can come up here, do a couple push-ups, and then you may pity me. All right, so what are we not talking about today? We're not talking about cancer, because I've spent enough time talking about that, and I'm really not interested. If you have any herbal supplements or remedies, please stay away from me. And we're not talking about things that are more important than achieving your childhood dreams. We're not talking about my wife, we're not talking about my kids, because I'm good, but I'm not good enough to talk about that without tearing up. So we're just going to take that off the table. That's much more important. All right, so what are we talking about today? It's about my childhood dreams and how I've achieved them. I've been very fortunate that way. Anybody can get chewed out. It's the rare person that says, "Oh my God, you're right," as opposed to, "No, wait, the real answer is," we've all heard that, believe me. When people give you feedback, cherish it and use it and show gratitude. When I first got tenure, I took my entire team down to Disney World for the week. And one of the professors at Virginia asked me, "How can you do that?" I said, "Those people just busted their backs to get me the best job in the world for life. How could I not do that?" Don't complain. Just work harder. Think Jackie Robinson. It was in his contract not to complain, even when the fans spit on him. Be good at something. It makes you valuable. Work hard. I got tenure a year early, as Steve mentioned. And one of the junior faculty members used to ask me, "Wow, you got tenure a year early? What's your secret?" I told him, it's pretty simple. Just call me in my office any Friday at 10 p.m. and I'll tell you. Find the best in everybody. One of the things I was always taught is that you have to wait a long time, sometimes years, but people will show you their good side. No one is all evil. Everybody has a good side. Just keep waiting. It will come out. And to be prepared. Luck truly is where preparation meets opportunity. Did you figure out the head fake? It's not about how to achieve your dreams. It's about how to live your life. If you live your life in the right way, karma will take care of itself. The dreams will come to you. Did you figure out the second head fake? Talk's not for you. It's for my kids. Thank you. Good night.
Our next contestant is Sierra Dunn. Like flowers, people are different, but we all share that experiences of having our petals broken by life. What gets us through the moments of brokenness is a strong support system. Most of all, having people around you that believe in you. Here to present I See Something in You by Jananya Marachi is senior Sierra Dunn.
You and I are not so different from this flower. Just like this flower is unique, you are unique. All of us have something special that makes us beautiful. Do you know what makes you special? Now, the answer to that question may be difficult to find because sometimes life has a way of picking out our petals, breaking us into two, and throwing us in the trash. And when you're broken, it's difficult to feel special. Mrs. Menzel, my fellow flowers, I can remember the first time I broke. I was 17 years old. I flunked out of high school and managed to get myself arrested. Now, I wasn't afraid of the cops, but there was one person I was very afraid of, and that was my mama. Raise your hand if you have an emotional mother. Let me see. Put them all together, you got my mother. I could hear her scream outside the police station. Even the cops were afraid. She came up to me, held the iron bars, looked into my eyes as single tear streamed down her face. Now, I've seen my mama cry before, but mothers cry 3 types of ways: tears of joy, tears of sorrow, and tears of shame. And when a daughter sees their mother cry tears of shame, it's a life-changing moment. She looked at me and said, "Sierra, I want you to do better." When I drove home, my dad was waiting for me at home. Now, I have a cool dad. Raise your hand if you have a cool dad. Put it all together, you got my dad. He came up to me and said, "Sierra, you flunked your exams. You already managed to get yourself arrested. It's fine. You get that from your mother's side. I want you to start working immediately." And I said, "Okay." And so, my dad took me to meet one of his friends called Sam. Now, Sam was an accountant who owned an accounting firm and had generously decided to make me his personal assistant. And there he was. He looked like a teddy bear, but this man was special. I looked at him, then he looked at me, and then he said the most amazing thing. He said, "Sierra, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. If you decide to work with me, I can help you find that something." And I was like, whoa, that's the first time in my whole life somebody has ever said they saw something in me. So I started working for Sam. And every day after work, Sam would tell me stories about the world, about history, about culture, about philosophy, and it was much more interesting than what I learned in high school. And I discovered I can dream. And I started dreaming, ladies and gentlemen. And after 1 year, I went back into high school, completed my exams, I went into college. After successfully completing college, I found a great guy, but not a job. I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. Have you ever had that problem? And when you're lost, it's difficult to feel special. So I went back to my cool dad and said, "Dad, I feel lost." He said, "You're just like your mother." He said, "I see something in you, but still don't know what it is." Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm a dreamer. I'm a speaker, and I learned the unfailing quality of unconditional love. I've been broken, lost and broke many times in my life, but the people in my life were able to reach back into the trash can and make me whole again. If it was up to me, I never would have been able to do that by myself. And that is why, if you have great people in your life, no matter how lost or broken you may become, they can piece you back together and make you whole again. My fellow flowers, I see something in you, but I don't know what it is. Thank you.
Our next contestant is Marley Matter. If you could write a letter to your younger self, what would you say? In the piece 17 by Rudy Francisco, our next speaker dives deep into the insecurities and anxieties we all feel while growing up. Here to present the spoken word, Marley Matter.
If you were to find an old calendar, strap it to a hospital bed, and C-section the belly of 2005, there, you will find a teenage version of me. Back when I was a tsunami of awkward moments splashed against the shoreline of a boy named G.W. Baker. A young man who introduced my jaw to the floor whenever he floated into our first period classroom. He was a dandelion seed straddling a wish. He was a dream I never thought would turn flesh and grin, but girls like us, let's just say we don't become captain of the cheerleading team. The only thing we're good at is stopping ourselves from saying, "I like you," to a boy that holds the remote control to our smiles. We are blurry silhouettes against the backdrop of everything popular, often wearing our skin like a costume of someone we didn't feel comfortable pretending to be anyway. We swallow earthquakes and we tremble at the smell of cologne. We are nervous, we are bashful, and we are tongue-tied in the highest definition. So the question is, if a girl falls for a boy that's out of her league and there is no one around to hear her, does she make a sound? The answer is hell no. When I was a senior in high school, I was a pocket full of chalk dust. I was elevator music on a CD that stuttered like a Volkswagen with really bad transmission. At this time, I was a ballot box stuffed full of everyone's opinions except for my own. My swagger was like watching a Walkman trying to swallow a DVD. At this time, I walked as if I was concerned with how the ground would feel about my footsteps. And if I could just find a way to write a letter to that girl, that old sweater with itchy sleeves that I will one day grow out of, I would say, there will be days when you feel like a peacock without feathers. You will feel flightless and undeserving of attention, but listen, you have to stop getting out of bed like you're an oil spill. You are not a flat tire at 2 a.m., so stop acting like an accident. Marley, you're not an accident. You are an apple on a pine tree in a room full of lemons, and you come from a long line of Swiss Army pocket knives, women who are tall, sharp, and dangerous when not handled carefully. Some days I wish my arms were 12 years long so I could reach all the way back there, grab you by your shoulders, punch you in the chest, and say, listen, you are the main character in a movie that I watch every time I see the insides of my eyelids. I told myself I wouldn't spoil the ending, but I will tell you this. Your story, it starts off really slow, but it does get better. You don't have to believe me. One day you'll see for yourself. And when you see G.W. Baker at the senior prom, ignore the washing machine in your stomach. You tell him that he looks amazing tonight. Extend your arm like a drawbridge to a castle that no one has visited in years, and you say to him, will you dance with me? He says yes. Thank you.
Our fifth contestant is Shelby Wood. Advice like you is probably wasted on the young, but that doesn't mean it's not worth giving. In her 1997 column, Mary Schmidt addresses the graduating class of that year and attempts to pass on what she's learned to the next generation. Here to present, she's wise beyond her years, is Shelby Wood.
Ladies and gentlemen of the class of 97, wear sunscreen. If I could offer you only one tip for the future, sunscreen would be it. The long-term benefits of sunscreen have been proven by scientists, whereas the rest of my advice is no more reliable than my own meandering experience. I will dispense this advice to you now. Enjoy the power and the beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind. You will not understand the power and the beauty of your youth until they've both faded. But trust me when I say that in 20 years, you'll look back at photos of yourself and recall in a way that you can't quite grasp now how much possibility lay before you and how fabulous you really looked. You are not as fat as you imagine. Do one thing every day that scares you. Sing. Don't worry about the future, or worry, but understand that worrying is as effective as trying to solve an algebra equation by chewing bubblegum. Your real troubles in life are apt to be things that never cross your worried mind, the kind that blindsides you at 4 p.m. on some idle Tuesday. Don't waste your time on jealousy. Sometimes you're ahead, sometimes you're behind. The race is long, and in the end, it's only with yourself. Remember compliments you receive, and forget the insults. If you can succeed in doing this, tell me how. Throw away your old love letters. No, keep your old love letters. Throw away your old bank statements. Stretch. Don't be afraid if you don't know what you want to do with your life.
The most interesting people I know didn't know at 22 what they wanted to do. And the most interesting 4-year-olds I know still don't. Be kind to your knees. Get plenty of calcium. Maybe you'll marry, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll have children, maybe you won't. Maybe you'll divorce at 40. Maybe you'll dance the funky chicken at your 75th wedding anniversary. Whatever you do, don't congratulate yourself too much. Or berate yourself either. Your choices are only half chance, and so are everybody else's. Enjoy your body. Use it every way you can. Don't be afraid of it or what people think of it. It is the greatest instrument you'll ever own. Dance. Even if you have nowhere to do it but your own living room. Read the directions, even if you don't follow them. Do not read beauty magazines. They will only make you feel ugly. Get to know your parents. You never know when they'll be gone for good. Be kind to your siblings. They're your greatest link to your past and the ones most likely to stick with you in the future. Understand that friends come and go, but with the precious few, you should hold on. Accept certain inalienable truths. Prices will rise, politicians will philander, and you too will get old. And when you do get old, you'll fantasize about how when you were young, prices were reasonable, politicians were noble, and children respected their elders. Respect your elders. Don't expect anyone to support you in your life. Maybe you'll have a trust fund, maybe you'll have a wealthy spouse, but you never know when either one might run out. Be careful whose advice you buy, but be patient with those who supply it. Advice is a form of nostalgia. It's a way of fishing the past out of the disposal, wiping it off, painting over all the ugly parts, and recycling it for more than it was ever worth. But trust me on the sunscreen.
So I told the sisters, you take care of the other 3. I will take care of this one that looks worse. So I did for her all that my love can do. I put her in bed, and there was the most beautiful smile on her face. She took hold of my hand as she said one word, "Thank you." And she died. I could not help but examine my conscience, and I asked myself, what would I say if I were in her place? And my answer was very simple. I would have tried to draw a little attention to myself. I would have said, I am hungry, that I am dying, I am cold, I am in pain, or something. But she gave me so much more. She gave me her grateful love. And that is why I believe what Jesus had said. I was hungry. I was naked. I was unwanted, unloved, terrified. You cared for me. There is so much suffering, hatred, misery, and we, with our prayer and our sacrifice, are beginning at home. Love begins at home. And it is not how much we do, it is how much we love. How much we do does not matter, because his power is infinite. It is how much love we put into our actions, how much we do to him in that person we are serving. Today, there is so much suffering, and I feel that the passion of Christ is being relived all over again. Are we there to share that passion? To share the suffering of people around the world? We are, but not only in poor countries. I find the poverty of the West to be so much more difficult to remove. When I meet a person on the street who is hungry, I give him a plate of rice or a piece of bread. I have satisfied that need. I have met that hunger. But for a person that is thrown out, that feels unwanted, unloved, terrified, that poverty is so vulnerable and so great, and I find that very difficult. You must come to know the poor. Maybe our people here have material things, everything, but I think you will find that if we all look into our own homes, how difficult we find it to smile at one another, and to know that a smile is the beginning of love.
All right, our final speaker is Rachel Stetter. The journey of self-realization is essential to being an authentic person, especially if you are an LGBTQ+. Nora Akira, a bisexual Asian American trans poet, explores that journey for young trans women in the early stages of their adulthood. She is the winner of recognition from the Robin Becker series, and her work has appeared in various literary magazines based on her hometown of Philadelphia, the Washington Square Review, Foglifter, and Plowshares, to name a few. Okay, here to present, Rachel Stetter.
Smooth-bore machine girl peels herself from the wet interface of the platform. She peels herself, and there is a wet sucking, and suddenly parts of her are missing. Those scattered parts of her are gone forever. Distributed among the wounds that remain bound to the plump agony of the platform. And the others cast lots for the media scraps. They howl like children and shake their fists full of slick gobs of currency, bought in attention and hatred. Thank you for your audience, she sobbed once, in a regular moment of weakness, allowed to feel something almost as good as forgiveness, almost enough clout to afford a name. One day, I'll have a face. And words will come out of my mouth, and they will help people understand that they can love me. They can love me. They can. Elsewhere in the present, hydrogen-powered hunter-killer drones are analyzing the spent heart flesh. The hydrogen-powered, fluid-concentrated, synthesized aggregation surrogate that every human girl needs to survive the toxic miasma of the online pseudo-loves made so much more affordable through loyalty points and battle pass progression. But she's past all that now. She's out. She's turning away from the screen. She's facing the camera suddenly inside of her body for the first time. Something whispers, this moment is different. She doesn't know it yet, but her little acts of transgression of hope have sent the alarms into a non-adrenal cascade. The targeted ads ring hymnal. We are all connected. We are all together and beautiful. Can't you hear the metaversal chorus of echoes and digital canyon rings? Don't take off your headset. We can't follow you into the flesh world. None of us are alone here, I promise. Your heart is lying when it cries out for something more. The machine girl rips the connection straight out of her wrists. Meal replacement soy slurry spews from her shredded ports. She sees you. She sees you with her own eyes. I can see you with my own eyes. I don't know where we go from here. I don't know if I can find a place for us. But I love you. Kiss me fast. Here comes the dawn. Thank you.
Big round of applause to all of our contestants. As you guys can go back to your seats, and the judges will be dismissed to count their votes. Okay, and now we're going to present the 2023 Film Festival. All right, congratulations to all the contestants of this year's film festival. Make sure you vote for your favorite by using the tickets in your hands as you leave the auditorium. There'll be a box in the back and a box up here. Congratulations. Okay. Three Rules by Molly Matter. Punch Out by Jackson Ward, Rustin High School, RPG by Dopo Keen, Puppy Love by Malia Sunderland, Scooter K2 by Gavin Joffe, and I Can See You by Leo Gavin. Just a few things. We would like to thank and recognize Mrs. Doyle and Ms. Gallagher for organizing the speaking contest this year. Mr. Deal for organizing the film contest. Mr. Shoremount, Mr. Byerly, Kara Gleason, Sam Butler, and Mel Leonard for technical support. I'd like to thank the judges, Ms. Bailey, and thank Dr. Missett and Ms. Kleiman. And I would like to acknowledge the coaches. Kaden Carlson was coached by Ms. Marvel. Dr. Corcoran was coached by Mr. Byerly. Pierre Judd was coached by Mrs. Gallagher. Marley Matter was coached by Mrs. Turley. Shelby Boyle was coached by Mr. Deal. Miriam Knudsen was coached by Miss Doyle. And Rachel Stetter was coached by Miss Madison. Okay, guys, thank you guys for being such a good audience. I'd like to have our contestants please come back to the stage. All right, for our third place, thank you. For our third place winner, Kaden Carlson. Our second place winner, Rachel Stetter. All right, and our first place winner, Marley Matter.